Knights of the Old Republic was a huge mainstream success for BioWare, which led to them pursuing their own IP. One was Mass Effect, the other Dragon Age Origins. While they were working on that, Lucasfilm wanted a sequel to the runaway hit of KOTOR, so when BioWare said that they were too busy for the job, it went to Obsidian. Problem was, Lucasfilm wanted the game the following year, so KOTOR 2 was developed in a scant 14 months in order to reach the Christmas sales goals. The result is that KOTOR 2, while defended by many, is notorious for being an incomplete game, and a lesson in how rushing out the sequel can damage the property. Unfortunately, some people just never learn. Dragon Age Origins dropped in November 2009 after 6 years of development. Dragon Age 2 dropped in March of 2011, a year and 4 months in between them, even shorter than the time between KOTOR and KOTOR 2's release. This came on the order of Electronic Arts, which is no real surprise considering it was twice voted the worst company in America and has a reputation for evil. No, not just annoying things, actual evil. The development time on DA2 was less than a year. Several sources say that it was as short as 8 months. Think about that. They had to develop this entire game in less time than it takes to make a human. So you have to give them credit for pulling off what they did. But the seams clearly show. The reuse of maps, for instance, to the point of tedium, is one example. I don't mean just returning to the same place. I mean they would just use the same maps over and over and over. And they would put an impossible to open door in there sometimes to keep you in part of the map because they were just using that one piece of it this time and not filling out the whole thing. So it certainly looked like cheap laziness to the audience, even though the reality was there were just limited options there. Indeed, the entire story is, in a way, a brilliant example of taking a problem and trying to use it, trying to turn it into an advantage. So I give BioWare props for that. KOTOR 2 was incomplete because you went all over the place. To some places that you've been before in the first game, sure, but mostly it was traveling around like in the first game, taking the fight to the enemy. It just wasn't time to finish all those other places, though. Instead, Dragon Age 2 took the approach, what if you don't travel all over? What if you stay here, get involved in the story right here? This allowed them to focus their energies around those environments as opposed to having to develop a whole bunch of different places to visit and then leave again. It was a bold and clever way to deal with the problem, from a purely technical point of view. As for the actual result from a game player's point of view, well, let's get down to the game itself. Oh, this isn't the game. This is footage from Electronic Arts headquarters. This person they're dragging in here, he had the audacity to buy a FIFA game secondhand from GameStop instead of buying the new version. Yeah, they're gonna teach him a lesson.
You know exactly why I'm here. Time to start talking, dwarf. They tell me you're good at it.
Nothing shows your badass credentials quite like stabbing a book. Perhaps for an encore, you could push over an urn. She's Cassandra, and the guy in the chair is Varric, and she wants to know the story of the champion, so he finally starts telling it to her. I really haven't started my day until I've had my coffee and stabbed something in the head. The champion is none other than the one with the knives, Hawke, and that is her sister, Bethany. Hawke. We've traveled back in time to during the events of Dragon Age Origins. After leaving Lothering, eventually at some point that town got overrun by the Darkspawn. Bodahn passed the word on to the hero of Ferelden. Well, this is the escape from Lothering, at least from the point of view of the Hawke family. The father Hawke, a mage, died on the way. The mom has no special abilities unless you count about complaining that she doesn't have any money anymore. Then there are the twins, Bethany, who has magic, and her brother Carver, who doesn't, but is good with a blade. And then there's Hawke, which is what everybody else calls her except for members of the family, because that would be rather ridiculous. No, they refer to her as, "Hey, you." This is the part where you run away. After besting the ogre, the ante gets upped.
Bullshit. That's not what really happened.
It was a unicorn named Aurora Boreawesome.
Let me guess. Your precious chantry's fallen to pieces and put the entire world on the brink of war. And you need the one person who could help you put it back together.
Yeah, so that's why Varric is the one telling the story. So what this really boils down to is that Dragon Age 2 is just a really, really long prologue for Dragon Age 3. So, we've got some changes right away here. First, unlike Tim the Enchanter from the first game, Hawke is going to be completely voiced, which means that there is going to be a voice for the male and the female version. So since we did male last time, let's shake things up and go with female this time. It also means that we get to have Jo Wyatt doing the voice here, doing the same voice actually that she uses in Star Wars The Old Republic for the female version of the Imperial Agent, like we do with Rex Dart. See how everything just ties together when BioWare gets involved? She also did the voice for one season of the Mr. Men series, where she did the voice of Little Miss Naughty. And I mention that because I'm going with a rogue, so that's entirely fitting for Hawke as well. But right here from the get-go, we're seeing the effect of the restraints being put on the player in order to fit into the mold that BioWare was forced to have in order to meet their artificial deadline. In Origins, you had a choice of being a human, which gave you 2 starting story options. You could be an elf, which gave you 3 starting story options. Or you could choose to be a dwarf, which gave you 2 starting story options. Now, you can say 6 because the human and the elf mage stories are absolutely identical. But the point is that you had choices there. Here, your choices of human, elf, or dwarf are limited to human. And your choices for that story are 1. So right away, you're seeing this story is on rails. I mean, they probably won't even let me change Hawke's first name. Come on. Come on, I was kidding. Come. Oh, God damn it. Fine, I guess she's Marion Hawke then. Guess they were afraid I was going to change it to Hudson and make the game's quality a little more obvious. Now, the thing about the Dragon Age series, as far as me doing it on this show, is I didn't plan on doing anything past the first story, but with the Witch Hunt ending on there, the DLC. And so rather than doing this on the PC, I went back and did this on the Xbox 360. I didn't think that that would be really an issue. Well, now I bring this up because Dragon Age Origins draws upon the events of the original. You, as you can see by that little thing there, can import the events from the original game into this one in order to shape what happens there. And so for the sake of maintaining some continuity, I thought, well, I'll have to do this one on the 360. Well, that was a mistake. This version, as you can see already, is buggy. I can't even change the character's name. And not only that, but irony of ironies, this import process didn't work right. Among other things, it's convinced that Tim the Enchanter is dead. So that's dandy. Everywhere you go, anytime the hero of Ferelden gets mentioned, it's like, oh, what a shame that he sacrificed himself at the end. Where, if you knew Tim, you would know He is not sacrificing himself, ever. If he's dying, he's taking everyone in the world down with him. But yeah, the truth now. Lothering burned, the Darkspawn pursued, and the Hawk family made their escape. No thanks to their load. I guess a childhood spent counting gold wasn't exactly the aerobic activity she thought it'd be.
We should have run sooner. Why did we wait so long?
Yeah, I was kind of wondering that myself. I mean, in the time that you people had, Tim eventually wandered up there from the wilds, and then did odd jobs for people, defeated several groups of bandits, also straightened out some chantry issues, freed a prisoner, and oh yeah, got information on something completely unrelated to the Darkspawn problem. So what's your excuse? I mean, you clearly weren't packing for this journey. You've got nothing but the clothes on your backs. So what's the deal? You heard about this and said, imminent arriving army of bottomless evil that will slaughter everyone. Well, it can come in its own time. I've got shit to do.
Wait, where are we going?
Away from the Darkspawn, where else?
And then where? We can't just wander aimlessly.
We stay alive. That's the only thing we need to worry about right now.
Yeah, when you are at that very moment still fighting your way through hordes of monsters, this is not really the time to say, where do I see myself in 5 years? Anyway, Mom, has a plan. We should go to Kirkwall. That's where she's from, so there's family and an estate there in order for us to get past this crisis. So we've got an eventual goal, but of course the immediate problem is still the army of utter evil that's in front of us. Well, it looks like we're not the only ones on this road to nowhere. There's company up ahead, including a Templar. This is a problem because Bethany is a mage, and mages and Templars get on like a house on fire. By which I mean if you put them in the same house, it will soon catch on fire. Any mage who is not captured by the Templars and put into the circle is considered an apostate and needs to be either arrested or killed. Fortunately for us, this guy's got his own problems.
You will not have him!
They will not have you.
Are we sure we're the heroes here? I mean, I'm not saying we're the bad guys, but this lady is one serious badass who is fighting for one true love against an unstoppable army there and kicking butt doing it. And all we've really been doing is arguing about whose fault it is that we dragged our feet until the monsters were right at our front door.
Stop squirming, Wesley. You'll make it worse.
Wesley. Seriously, your name is Sir Wesley. Good luck surviving this apocalypse, buddy.
Apostate, keep your distance.
Oh yeah, there's only about 1 trillion Darkspawn around. Please focus on the one mage here. Glad to know you've got your priorities straight. And here I thought this blight might actually bring humans together again. Thanks for reminding me how crap we can be sometimes.
The Spawn are clear in their intent, but a mage is always unknown. The Order dictates.
Wesley.
That woman is an apostate. The Order dictates.
Yeah, my order dictates that my knee is going straight into your balls in a moment. Now live long and fuck off, Wesley.
Of course.
I am Aveline Valenne. This is my husband, Sir Wesley. We can hate each other when we're safe from the Horde.
No need to wait, I'm a multitasker. I can kill Darkspawn and tell Wesley what a piece of shit he is.
My duty is clear, but that is for another day, if we are granted that opportunity.
Wesley, you've already got a punchable face. There's no need to encourage people. Well, unfortunately, the way north is blocked by the Horde now, so the only option is south, except nobody's keen on that idea because that's where the wilds are. But if it's a choice between that and the Horde of unstoppable evil, I think we'll take our chances with the wilds. So we fight our way through the Horde, only to discover that ogre that was mentioned earlier. Yeah, that part of the story was real, just not the way that things unfold exactly.
soulless bastards!
Carver!
Oh, Carver, don't you know you have to do a ready check before you attack the boss? Classic noob mistake. The rest of us take on the ogre and bring it down. Of course, there's no saving Carver at this point. But at least it can offer some words of comfort to Mom.
Carver gave himself to save us.
I don't want a hero. I want my son. How could you let him charge off like that? Your little brother.
Oh yeah, of course, I forgot everything is my fault. Look, I wasn't the one who insisted we try to bring the piano along. Anyway, after we say some words over Carver's fallen form, the rest of the Darkspawn have a chance to catch up to us, surround us, and, well, it's pretty much curtains. Until... Yep, the dragon really did show up and really did stop the Darkspawn from fighting. And given the geography, yes, this is Flemeth, Morrigan's mother. Thank you, game. Thank you so much.
Well, well. What have we here?
Oh, hey, Wesley, look! An apostate! Your duty is clear, right? Come on, I need a little bit of cheering up after watching my little brother die and then getting blamed for it.
I don't know what we would have done if you hadn't arrived.
I do. You would have perished. You still may. If you wish to flee the Darkspawn, you should know you are heading in the wrong direction.
Yeah, the last thing I would do if I was in charge of a group of people is strand them in the middle of the ass end of nowhere.
I see. Hurtled into the chaos, you fight, and the world will shake before you.
It will? Look, I just like being given money and stabbing things.
It appears fortune smiles on us both today. I may be able to help you yet.
Anything you could do for us would be appreciated.
Maybe we shouldn't trust her. I don't even know what she is.
I know what she is. The Witch of the Wilds.
Some call me that. Also Flemeth. Asha Belinar. An old hag who talks too much.
Just remember, crazy gets you halfway to crazy awesome.
Does it matter? I offer you this. I will get your group past the Horde in exchange for a simple delivery to a place not far out of your way. Would you do this for a Witch of the Wilds?
Roast a few more Darkspawn? I'll do anything you want.
Sadly, my charity is at an end. There is a clan of Dalish elves near the city of Kirkwall. Deliver this amulet to their keeper, Marithari. Do as she asks with it, and any debt between us is paid in full.
Oh boy, so the choices are let the Darkspawn either eat us or turn us into broodmothers, or carry this thing where we're already going. Oh boy. The idea of having 12 tits and tentacles is really appealing, but I don't know, I kind of like the idea of delivering something instead. But there's a matter we've got to deal with first. It seems that huge slice that he took in the back allowed a bunch of Darkspawn blood to get in and infect him, so now he's dying from the corruption. Flemeth says the only way to save him would be to turn him into a Grey Warden, and they don't have any wardens nearby, so there's no way to master his taint, besides which that's probably Aveline's job anyway. So, there's nothing for it but to put him out of his misery, which, with Wesley pleading, Aveline does.
It gets no easier. Your struggles have only just begun.
It's weird not to say that while holding a chloroform-soaked rag.
The witch kept her word and got them to Guaran, where they took ship.
Ticket price is 1 over the square root of 11. Is that for all of us or just for each person?
And then they saw it. Kirkwall, the city of chains.
It's the city of chains! We're saved! Oh, God, I never thought I could throw up that much. Oh, I should have gone with being a brood mother. Peekaboo! So we arrive at Kirkwall, only there's about 1,000 other refugees who have also shown up here. So they've made the decision, we're not letting in anybody else. But anybody else includes me, when clearly anybody else should be anybody else but me and mine, right? Well, they don't see it that way.
We need to find Gamlen. Our family has always been highly regarded in Kirkwall. He can do something, I'm sure of it.
That's right. Uncle Gamlen's probably got access to the family fortune and the mansion. I never realized until now, but this could be awesome. Living in the lap of luxury here. No more darkspawn, no more bandits, no more stink of dog shit all the time. This apocalypse could actually be the best thing that ever happened to me. Once they let us into the damn city, of course.
We have enough poor of our own in the free marches. We don't need you refugees piling up here like a middens heap.
Refugees, that's a good one. We're citizens of this city, don't you know that? I'm just out here enjoying a nice, fresh day, dressed in my finest torn rags covered in my own vomit. He's not buying it, is he?
So Knight Commander Meredith wants us to sort you all out. Most of you are getting right back on your ships, though.
That's a Templar title. Why would a city guardsman answer to the Templars?
We don't answer to her, but she's the power in Kirkwall. Don't know what would happen if the Viscount went against something she wanted, but he's sure never taken that chance.
Interesting. So, the head of the Templars, which are part of the Chantry, is basically running this town. And of course we know from those framing devices that the Chantry has got one big problem on their hands, so I can't help but wonder if she's in the middle of all of this. But we've got bigger problems, like the fact that we're standing on the wrong side of this gate. I could just pick the lock to let us in, but I think with 600 people around here in broad daylight, somebody's probably going to notice. Maybe we can talk to the captain of the guard and have someone send a runner to go and talk to our uncle. I mean, given all the money that the family has, I'm sure that they'll know exactly who we're talking about. But there's a crowd there already, too.
Let us through, you flaming blighter. We're not staying in this pit.
Flaming in this outfit, you silly little bitch. A fight finally breaks out. We join in on the side of the guards, and they're grateful enough to go help us hook up with our uncle. Although it's not really the reunion we were hoping for.
Leandra! Damn, girl, the years haven't been kind to you.
Gamlen!
Pity she didn't drink from the fountain of youth like you did, Uncle. And like every other fucking thing we run into, there's a problem here, too.
I was hoping to grease some palms, but the Knight Commander's been cracking down. We're gonna need more grease.
But what about the estate? Surely Father left something when he died?
Right, about the estate. It's, gone.
Oh, why am I not surprised? Every time I think I found the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, it's a chamber pot instead.
Do we need to stay in Kirkwall? Let's go to another city.
This was my home. I can't believe they won't let me come back.
Every city on the coast's been hip-deep in Ferelden since the Blight. You could try your luck further inland, I suppose, but it won't be easy.
No, we're not putting Mother through that.
All right, you've talked me into it, fine. We'll be poor here instead of looking for some other place where we might not have to be poor. What's the plan?
I talked to my contacts, and I found some people who might be willing to pay your way into the city. The catch is, you and your sister have to work off the debt for a year.
I'm not going to beat around the bush. Your plan sounds like it involves penises. If it involves penises, that's it. I'll take my chances with the Darkspawn.
A Fenrir. I guess you might call her a smuggler. All you need to do is find them in the courtyard and convince them you're worth the trouble.
Smuggling, that sounds good. That's a good victimless crime that we could easily be involved in. By the way, sorry to interrupt the show, but I just thought this might be something educational for you. Sometimes when I go through these things, something crops up and I think, maybe if I learn more about this, I can be better informed as I do the show. So I went to go do a search on Google for smuggling throughout history. Well, here's a little fun fact for you. If you type smuggling throughout H, the autocorrect comes up with smuggling hash through airports. So, you know a little bit about the history of smuggling now. Back to the show. In order to get hired on by her, though, we're going to have to prove our worth by getting some money out of a guy who owes her. Well, Hawke does that thanks to her silver tongue, and no, it does not involve penises. So thanks to that, she agrees to take us on for the next year, and we're allowed into the city. To live in Lowtown. Such an optimistic name, isn't it? I suppose that Squalorville was probably already taken, right? Well, as Varric mentions, it was a pretty eventful year that was spent in apprenticeship. What can I say? Apprenticeship sounds a lot better than unpaid servitude. Anyway, first, the whole blight was defeated, thanks to Tim, who, despite all these rumors, did survive. Yes, and he did do the ritual, and he did it with Morgan. Yeah, he touched her boob and everything. If anybody says otherwise, they're a liar. Hawke made a real name for herself in the underworld. She's a first-class rogue, of course. Anyway, if these people thought they had problems with me, they had no idea what they were in for. Who wound up washing up on their shores during this time? Qunari. Yeah. Remember Sten? Yeah. Imagine an army of him. Hundreds. Just dropped off one day. Yeah. They weren't going to be told, no, you're not coming in. So, that was a whole nother complication here. Hundreds of Qunari were now living in a district inside there, including their leader. In the words of Wonder Woman, pants to be darkened. Well, with that year up, we can finally try to make things for ourselves for a change, get enough money together to buy our way out of the slums and back up into something more worthy of my station. A big chance seems to be this Bartrand dwarf. He's leading an expedition into the deep roads because during a blight, all the Darkspawn head up to the surface, so it's one of those rare times when all the old Tigers are a lot more clear of Darkspawn than usual, and you can get in there and get all kinds of stuff. But there are still Darkspawn down there, so having somebody like us who can fight, plus my ability to pick locks and such, well, it should be a no-brainer to include us in there. But I guess he doesn't have a brain. Not that I would say that to him, of course. I have enough common sense to know when to be smooth, and that's what this calls for, being a little smooth.
I'll buy you a drink before we head into the deep roads. Everyone wins.
Get in line, human. Half of Kirkwall wants to be my best friend right now.
Must be a novel experience, someone wanting to be your friend, huh? Along with the bad news of our rejection comes a pickpocket. Of course, Hawke is a great rogue, so she immediately knows the trick and is ready to deal with the guy. But she's beaten to it by none other than Varric.
I knew a guy once who could take every coin out of your pockets just by smiling at you. But you don't have the style to work Hightown, let alone the Merchants Guild.
Wait, I think we've got an audio bug. There's definitely something missing from this scene.
I knew a guy once who could take every coin out of your pockets just by smiling at you. But you don't have the style to work Hightown, let alone the Merchants Guild. You might want to find yourself a new line of work. Off you go.
How do you do?
Varric happens to be Bartrand's brother, and he took notice of Hawke because he's heard about her reputation and knows what a big asset we would be on this expedition, unlike Bartrand, who would just be a big ass. The problem really isn't that Bartrand doesn't see what we could do, so much as the much larger problem that he has to deal with. They need money to be able to finance this little escapade. What Bartrand needs more than a guard is a partner. With an influx of gold and my unparalleled skills, the expedition would be a certain success, and everyone would get rich. But, more important than that, I would get rich. Of course, it's not going to be cheap, though, is it?
Invest in the expedition. 50 sovereigns and he can't refuse.
50 sovereigns? Oh yeah, Give me a second while I pull that out of my ass.
It sounds interesting. But if I had any gold, I wouldn't need this job.
We work together, you and I, and before you know it, you'll have all the capital you need. What do you say?
I suppose. I mean, we need to raise money either way, but I suppose if we could raise it quickly and get on this expedition, we could probably increase that by an order of magnitude or two. All right, so that means we are going into side quest territory.
Who is the man that would risk his neck for his brother, man? Can you dig it? Who's the cat that won't cop out when there's danger all about? Right on. They say this cat Shaft is a bad mother. I'm talking about Shaft.